we do have some quotes that we can share with you. This is with regards to Don Yee and him questioning his independence and integrity here. He says, the conclusions in the report represent the independent opinion by me personally and by my team. Not influenced in any way, shape, or form by anyone at the league office. The Patriots were all over me from day one about why the NFL did not warn them of the complaint. That comes from the Patriots to me, and I responded to it. I did not find that there was a sting. So this is referencing the whole sting operation. We were set up, the Patriots were anyway. No one at the league office took the complaint seriously. They told the refs. Walt Anderson thought it was a normal complaint. Nobody paid that much attention to it. There was no sting.
Yeah, so he's referring to the Colts informing the NFL and the officials that the ball is going to be underinflated. They told the refs, we said no one paid much attention to it. There was no sting. I guess from what he's saying, because to me it sounds first off like no one paid much attention to it. You checked the balls at halftime. Clearly you paid attention to it. But I guess, if we're trying to put it in context here, as we were kind of trying to figure it out, before the game, let's check it. Because they did check the balls before the game.
They did.
And they were properly inflated. It was after the fact that someone took the balls and took some air out.
I have a more fundamental question here, and that is, what could possibly be Ted Wells' motivation for a biased investigation? I don't. Don Yee asked.
What is the league's motivation for
Well,
wanting to come
first of
down
all,
on the Patriots and Tom Brady? Doesn't it make the league look bad?
This is a team that people have complained about for quite some time. That's the context here, okay? This is a team that already had been fined and found guilty in a Spygate case. So therefore, one could argue that upon going into an investigation, that there is at least some understanding, okay, here's a team that's done it in the past, okay, aha, we got them. And I'm not saying that's what Ted Wells did, but in response to your question, you could see why that question would come up by some people, that there was a track record here. And so now you launch your investigation with the intent to prove that they're guilty.
And let's go to the other side. As long as we're parsing possible conspiracies here, let's not forget that Robert Kraft has been a staunch ally of Roger Goodell.
Oh, yeah.
So again, I ask the question, and reiterate your question, what motivation does Wells or the league have to launch a biased investigation? It doesn't serve anyone's purpose at all.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't see, other than the fact where people were, and this is after the fact. I think in the punishment phase, people were wondering if they were going to crack the Patriots, if they were going to really put the hammer down on Tom Brady. Like, let's see if they do it to this, as I keep on saying, a Maybach franchise of the NFL. Well, they did it. They showed that the Patriots, regardless, if you violate the rules, you're going to get it, just like we're going to give it to the Falcons, the Browns, the Jaguars, anybody else who may violate the rules. But some of these quotes right here, Lindy, if you don't mind, I'm going to read on something else. They said that McNally, one of the equipment guys, they said they would not even tell him about his request for a second interview. Remember, he's saying one of the reasons for the punishment or the findings in his report were that they wouldn't allow him to do a follow-up interview. And the Patriots, Bob Kraft, said they've already interviewed him 4 times. And he says right here that NFL security talked to him 3 times. Wells only talked to him once and wanted a follow-up, and they wouldn't make him available. So, again, that's something he found. So the league, when they were doling out their punishment, saying the Patriots were trying to at least deny some information to being discovered, and therefore, again, that factored into the discipline.
And one of the people who was most candid or most disappointed in the McNally thing was Robert Kraft. So it raises this incredibly ironic question here. Has an ally of the regime now become an adversary in Robert Kraft? The irony of this politically, in terms of the political calculus here, is that a guy who represented the establishment in Tom Brady, everything you could want in a quarterback, is now, according to Don Yee, about to take on the establishment.
Well, he didn't rep the establishment all the way. Remember, it was his name that was on the lawsuit for the lockout. Right. But more important, and Solly, the Kraft Goodell relationship. I mean, they were very tight. We saw a stinging rebuke last night from Bob Kraft regarding the discipline. They've got to come together at a league meeting next Tuesday in San Francisco. How is that going to work out? Is Bob Kraft going to give him the cold shoulder? They've got to work together on certain committees to come up with things. Heck, one of the point after proposals that we think is going to be changed is a Patriots proposal right here. So this whole dynamic going into that meeting is going to be very interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, he said in his statement yesterday, Robert Kraft, I'm referring to now, that it was the team's intention to accept discipline. However, ... And you don't even need to know what comes after that, right? It was our intention. However,
Past tense.
it far exceeded any reasonable expectation. So I think one of the questions moving forward is, what do you intend to do?
Well, I think there's some thought that the Patriots are going to appeal, and I think it's been written someplace they have the potential to actually go outside the box and take legal means.
Lawsuit?
Possibly. Now, that might be extreme, but if they feel that they were so unjustly wronged here, that's an option.
Which they apparently do.
Yeah, I mean, that is an option. Now, do they feel the punishment so severe that they want to take that tack and really go, adversarial against the NFL in a legal case, something that could drag on forever and have significant financial ramifications, things like that? We'll see. But right now, we had Greg Bedard on the show earlier from MMQB, who's very familiar with the Patriots. He said there is no relationship, or it's at the very much a thick frost between Robert Kraft and Roger Goodell right now.
We've seen this before at the level of players, when players are punished, most recently with Adrian Peterson. But we have not seen this before with teams going outside the league process and using the courts.
It's funny that you have Robert Kraft talking about the league when I think a lot of people at home, when you think of the league, you think of Roger Goodell, you think of Robert Kraft, you think of Jerry Jones. There are a handful of owners that really, I think, act as representatives of the league more than others, and he's certainly one of them.
He is not Al Davis. He's the antithesis. No,
Will he become Al Davis?
No,
that's the question moving forward.
That's exactly the question. And the line of demarcation between yes or no is very clear. Will the Patriots take legal action outside of the NFL's process?